Hello everyone. I'm back with another video, and again this is going to be the same kind of flow. It's not gonna be like a very concise, or sometimes we see on the YouTube the videos are pretty much they're very populated with a lot of editing. This is going to be the substance will be there, that what you want to know, which the topic is how you're gonna make a publication quality scientific figures for free. And in this video I'm gonna focus on the tools that are available for free for the researchers. So before we go into the details about the tools, let me first talk a little bit about, because I'm expecting whoever is watching this video, it's a beginner, right? So for the beginner, of course you're gonna have a lot of questions. You're gonna have question about how should I start, right? So the thing is, I'm going to explain a little bit about the concept. So what you're going to achieve from this video is, let's suppose you're a beginner and you are at position 0, right? And it's very difficult when you are at position 0 because you don't have any clue, you don't have any idea what to do, you don't have any idea which direction you should go for making the scientific figures, for making the scientific illustrations, for making the schematics, right? So this is the point 0. So this video will make you enable to go from 0 to 1. This is the point that you're going to achieve from this video, from 0 to 1. And what I believe is, in any kind of situation, let's suppose you need to make a decision about something and you are at a 0 position. If somebody guide you in a right way with the proper things, if you go to the one position, that means you have gained the quantum leap. So from moving on, from going from 1 to 100, it really depends on your own efforts. So this is just the 0 to 1 concept. This is just one, this is just the concept that I want to tell you. So what you're going to achieve is, I believe, and I'm pretty sure about this thing, that you're going to have idea about how to utilize those tools, and you're gonna have a know-how about these tools. So I think this is very enough for a beginner to start with. And of course, as I mentioned, that this is not going to be a very typical YouTube video. When you click on a YouTube video and you have a lot of visuals, you have sound effects, and you have a lot of things, but there will be a substance, and I think that's important, right? Substance should be there. Now, first of all, if you're a beginner, you need to think about, if you're a beginner and you're a researcher at bachelor level, or a researcher at MS level, master level, or a PhD level, or you're a professor, or you are just a student who want to go to a conference and who want to participate in the conference and want to present something, right? So you are just a beginner, you don't know how to present it, right? So first of all, in the scientific world or in academic world, there are rules and regulations, right? So you need to look for rules and regulations. So what I mean by rules and regulations is, it's a simple thing. Like, let's suppose you want to go to a conference, right? And you want to present a poster. So you need to look for the rules, that what kind of rules are there to present in that particular conference. Rules means that they're going to talk about, like, you need to put the poster in a particular dimension, right? So these are really important to know. As a beginner, you need to think about first about the rules and regulation, like dimension, the size, and a lot of things that are related to this. And let's suppose if you want to publish your work in a particular journal, so you need to look for the guidelines for the authors. Like, let's suppose they mention that we only accept the PNG figures, right? They can also say that we accept the SVG format figures, right? And I'm gonna explain about these image formats also, because I believe that if you're a beginner, you also sometimes don't have idea about these kind of image formats, but they're really important if you're dealing with if you're dealing with, let's suppose, the making the scientific illustrations or making the schematics. So the first thing that I mentioned is the rules and regulations are really, really important. Now, the second thing which is important is, and for that I am gonna open this thing. So I already explained the 0 to 1 concept. It's just a simple thing. I just want to motivate you that I'm gonna help you to go from 0 to 1. The second thing is the image format. So it's very important to know about the image format because the basics are important. So let me tell you about the image format. So we have, pretty much these, the image that I'm showing you here right now. I think, these are enough for you guys to know. Sometimes the journal or the conference require the figure file or the poster in a JPEG format, in the JPG format. And of course, they don't want this format. They want, sometimes they want the PNG format, sometimes they want the TIFF format, and sometimes they need maybe the PSD, the PDF, EPS, AI, and SVG format. So these are the different formats, and when you're a beginner, you need to know about the image formats. Okay, this is very, very important. And as I mentioned, that how you're going to know, you need to look for the rules and regulations. So once you have a task to do, you need to first think about the rules and regulations, and you need to think about these formats. Like JPG, it's like web and print photos and quick previews, and usually it's not transparent. The PNG is usually a transparent figure, and that means that the background will be transparent. And the TIFF, usually when you want to send it for the printing or for any sort of print services, usually the print services, they need the TIFF version of your poster or of your figure file and anything, right? And sometimes you need to send even the figure file or schematics in the SVG format, and usually it's a vector file and it's very editable using different kind of softwares. So the reason you need to know about this kind of thing is, the first thing is you're gonna send your figure file to journals, right? You're gonna send the figure file to conferences. So there you need to look for the rules and regulation. If they tell you about the JPG format, you need to know about what is JPG format. You need to know about the TIFF format. You need to know about these kind of formats for these kind of purposes. And sometimes when you're using the tools that I'm going to mention, these tools actually have different kind of formats. Let's suppose you need the icon, or you need some kind of schematics in some kind of format, like you need in the PNG format. They provide only in the PNG format. So you need to know about these image formats so that you can navigate through these tools in a more scholarly way, in a more knowledgeable way, right? And as I mentioned, that every format has its own advantages and has its own disadvantages, right? So if you have a knowledge about these kind of formats, as it's very, very self-explanatory. If you want details about these image format, you can just go to Google and you can search about it, and you can think that, okay, this is the JPG, this is the details about JPG. But if you're a beginner, you don't need to care about a lot of the things. And if you're not even a graphic designer or some kind of a very animated or a vector editor or something like that, so you don't need to care about a lot about the details about these formats, but you just need to know or have a know-how about these kind of image formats. So as I mentioned that you need to have information about the rules and regulations, then you need to know about the image format, right? The image format, right? So I'm not going to repeat everything. So image format is very important. So after that, let's talk about the tools that I usually use to create the figures. And of course, if you're a beginner, and most of the time the researchers, I'm going to specifically mention the researchers, they usually know about the PowerPoint. And this is one of the easiest and one of the most friendly tool the researchers use to make the schematics, right? And there's nothing wrong with this, but sometimes to make like these kind of figures and to make some kind of complex schematics, I'm gonna mentioned. So all of these figures I have made it in PowerPoint. You think like this is kind of very good quality schematics, right? But I've all made it in the PowerPoint. But you need to have the creativity, you need to have the knowledge about a very basic knowledge about things like the tools, basic knowledge about the image format, basic knowledge about how you can use these tools, right? So I'm just giving you an example to just give you like, see, it's possible to make these kind of schematics in PowerPoint. But yeah, how I end up making this kind of thing, how I end up making this kind of thing, how I end up making this kind of thing. So these are some of the things that I'm going to mention in this video. So first of all, let me go through the tools, and then I'm going to explain about how to make this kind of figure. So first of all, there's one tool which I frequently use when I need to make some schematics. This tool is really good. It's called the draw.io, and here what you need to do is you need to just click draw.io, and you can have this kind of options, what kind of flowchart you need. And particularly this thing is very important when you want to explain a mechanism in your conference paper, when you want to explain the mechanism in your research paper or in your review paper. This is very handy because it has a lot of built-in functions, and like you can easily make the square, you can easily make this kind of thing. So, and you can even connect it, and it's very easy. Like you need to just click here and it's going to be connected. So you don't need to spend hours of time in PowerPoint to make those kind of flowcharts. So the first tool that I'm going to mention here is the draw.io. And as I mentioned about, when you want to export the figure, you need to know about in which format you want it, right? So that's why in the start I mentioned that at least if you don't have advanced knowledge about the image format, at least you need to have a know-how about the image format, because it is important. If you don't know which image format is required, it's going to be a disaster when you send it to a journal in the JPEG format and they require in PNG. It's gonna be a very bad impression from your end. Okay, so that's why it's very important to know about the format. And also, like if you download in the PNG, the background will be transparent, and if it is JPEG, the background will be not transparent, right? So there are a lot of things that are important. So this tool, utilize it, and just think about it, how you're going to utilize it. Now when you know about this tool, now you are from 0 to 1 position, and from now on, from moving forward, this is your own creativity, your own hard work, and you're gonna make the best illustration if you spend much more time on this tool. The second tool and the second important website is the SciDraw. I love this website because I think this is one of the best website out there for scientific illustrations, for making scientific illustration. And look at this, look at the categories. Like if you're a researcher in the mouse category, if you're researching the rat, in the fish, in the Drosophila, in other human, bird, and cell. Of course, like I am from a Drosophila research community, so I'm gonna go for the Drosophila images. Like look at the images, these are beautiful. And the best part is you can find the SVG format. And why it's important, because see here, this is the SVG format. And why it's important, the SVG format, it's gonna give you the versatility, it's gonna give you the ability to change the colors, to change even the layers. You can do a lot of things with the SVG format. And how you're gonna do it, I'm gonna explain. But look at the figures. I mean, I'm literally when I see these figures, I just feel happy, because it just makes me happy that somebody has spent a lot of time in making these kind of things, and it's like open source. You can do everything with these kind of figures, right? And I'm going to come back to this website again. Now again, there is another website, BioIcons. Look at the diversity of the things that are here in this website. You name it, you need something, just go to this website. You want amino acids, There are thousands of amino acids, and the best thing is when you download these images, they are also in the SVG format. So that means what you can do with these images is a lot of things. Like you can change the color, you can change the length, you can change even the these icons. You can do a lot of things, and I'm going to come back to this also. But you need to appreciate this website. This is also a very good website. Again, if you need some icons, this is again flight icon. I use a lot this website because sometimes I need the icon for maybe usually the icons there. Why the icon is important. Let's talk about it. Why the icon is important. Sometimes what happen is when you export or when you download an image and when you put it in your PPT or when you put it in anything, what happen is when you zoom it or when you zoom out, there is a loss in the pixel. There's a loss when you zoom it, it's just feel like it's not really good. It's not good when you zoom it or when you extend it. I'm not talking about this figure, but I'm just telling you, that giving you the idea. So this flat icon, when you download any icon from here, you need to just search whatever the icon that has in your mind. You need to just search. Let's suppose I want the Drosophila, right? There's an icon for Drosophila also in the flat icon. So where is it? Sorry, we cannot find the Drosophila icon. No, there is. Let me search Drosophila icon. Flat icon. So when I search Drosophila flat icon, you're gonna see a lot of. See, I told you that there is an icon because I use a lot. So see, you have this icon, right? When you download this icon and when you want to zoom in or zoom out, this icon is not gonna lost its pixel, and it's also in the PNG format. So see, this flat icon website is go-to website. If you want some icons, go to this website, utilize it, and you can do countless things. Okay, now next, this is also another free icons and stock photos. Of course, I'm not really sure, I haven't used these a lot, but you can also utilize this particular so I was talking about that. Let's suppose you want to publish in any journal, right? So I'm just giving you an example. Like if you see here, this is the website for nature website. It's a journal, right? And they have the guidelines. They have a lot of guidelines for if you want to make figures. Like let's suppose I'm going to go to the figure section. So if you see here, they have guidelines. They have guidelines about how you're going to make the figure and what kind of things you're gonna put in the figures, like a lot of things. So when I was talking about the guidelines, this is where you can find the guidelines, right? And of course, don't restrict yourself to this only the nature guideline. You're gonna use the nature guidelines only when you want to publish in the nature journal. And if you want to know about the rules and regulations regarding conference paper, you need to look for the rules and regulations according to that particular conference. I think you got my point, right? Now, these are the tools, okay? So by knowing these tools, now where are you? You were in the start of this video, you were at the 0 position, and now you are at number 1 position because now you know about things. Right now you know about a lot of things, right? And I mentioned like my go-to tools. I will explain. My go-to tools are SideDraw. My go-to tool is Bio Icons. My go-to tool is Flat Icon. And my go-to tool is also Draw.io. And also one of the tool that I'm actually and after using these tools, I come to the PowerPoint, and this is the boss. Actually, this makes a lot of difference. So when I utilize these things, I just it really depends on my creativity. It really depends on my creativity. It really depends on your creativity. That how and now from 0 to 1, I help you to come from 0 to 1, and now from moving on, it really depends on your creativity that how you're going to utilize these tools to come up with scientific illustration. So to just give you an example, okay, let's go back to here. Let's suppose I want to download this SVG format. So when I go to the download, it's going to take some time and it's going to download. Okay, another tool that I want to tell you is when we talk about scientific illustrations or schematics, people usually talk about Photoshop. These are all Adobe products. We talk about Photoshop. We talk about Premiere Pro. Of course, this is not related to making the static images, but it's more related to video editing. But anyway, people talk about the Photoshop, right? But Photoshop is not free. You need to pay, right? But there are tools you don't need to pay, like Inkscape, my favorite tool, by the way. So I downloaded one of the figure from the site Draw, and if you see here, this is the SVG format, and when you open it, look at the things, the layers. I can see every layer. See, I can remove the layer, I can change the color of the layer, I can do a lot of variety of things with this figure, right? So if you're creative enough, you can do a lot of things. So by the way, this is Inkscape. This is free of cost. What you need is you need to have idea about different kind of functions here, like so they're like pretty much like just like the PowerPoint, but it's like the most what to say, like it's very specific to video editing, image editing. So this actually software supports the SVG, right? So that's why I can see different layers of the image that I downloaded, and I can change the color, and I can do a lot of things. Like I can be more and more creative, right? I can be creative with this. So if you see here, I can change the image, I can do a lot of things. So what I want to tell you, and of course in the coming videos I'm going to explain like how actually I utilize the Inkscape to make the scientific illustration. So if you see here, there are some figures that I want to show you, like these figures, they are all I use. For some of the things I use the Inkscape, for some of the things I use the free tools, for some of the things I use the PowerPoint. But at the end of the day, the conclusion is you need to be creative, you need to put efforts. After when you know about the tools, you need to put efforts, right? And I'm sure that now you guys are like have some know-how about this kind of thing. So in the coming videos I'm going to talk about like how you can make different kind of figures using these kind of tools. So I utilize the Inkscape a lot. If let's suppose I downloaded some image, and that image is actually not very good, or let's suppose I don't like the color, so I download this Inkscape, I try to export that image here, I can see every layer here. So according to my choice, I can change the colors, and I can do whatever I want with this. And then at the end of the day, what I need to do is I need to export, and I can export in a lot of formats, like Inkscape SVG format, the plain SVG format, the PDF, the JPEG. I mean, you name it, a lot of formats are there. So what the conclusion is, you can utilize these tools for the purpose of making the scientific illustrations. In the next videos, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna help you and we're gonna make one figure. Actually it's gonna be a case study sort of, and I'm going to utilize all of these tools to make one figure. And of course the creativity, it should depend on you. You need to put the efforts on the creativity part. You need to know about your scientific illustration, the schematic you want to make. Just few things, and it's like a task for you guys. Just explore two things. One is the color palette, because I think this is also a very good concept, and many beginner researchers, they don't actually look for this kind of thing. What color palette tell you is about, I'm not going to explain a lot about the color palette, but it's just kind of assignment for you guys. Just search color palette in Google and know about. So there are a lot of colors, right? But we don't know which color suits which color, right? So this color palette will help you to decide which color go with which color. And there are so many shades of the color. So using the color wheel and using the color palette, it's gonna help you to understand the color mechanism or the use of the color mechanism. Okay, so this is one thing that I want you to explore. And the second thing I think is just try try to make one illustration, just try to make one schematic or anything using these tools. And please leave a comment, and yeah, tell me if you enjoy this video, tell me if you get some information from this video. And yeah, I know that last video that I uploaded about the Drosophila anatomy, the audio quality was not good, but as I said, I'm just I'm not saying that I'm not going to improve myself. I'm going to improve myself. I'm going to have a better audio quality, and of course this audio quality will be good for you guys. Yeah, so this kind of things you can make easily using the Inkscape, and you can change the color, and you can do a lot of things. So this is just to give you an example. Like, these are some of the figures that I made, and these figures, of course there's efforts on my end also, but these tools really help me to come up with with a lot of easiness. So yeah, so now I think I've covered pretty much everything, and in the next video, or maybe in next video, I'm going to explain something else, maybe, or maybe I'm going to focus on the case study where I'm going to explain how actually you can make a schematic using these tools. And yeah, so leave the comment if you have any suggestion for me, if you have anything, if you have a good thing for me, if you have a bad thing for me. And I hope you enjoy your time, and I hope you have learned something useful from this video. Thank you so much again, and I wish and I earn you have a fantastic scientific career, and you have a scientific achievements, a lot of achievements. And I hope I can be a person who help you in making this possible, just to give you an idea about the tools. Okay, so thank you so much again. Bye bye, see you.